But anyways, so spent a little bit of time in Cold Iron there. We left when I was about 4 years old. As we was leaving, I have 3 other half-brothers and sisters, Herbert Edward, Brian Keith, and Kim. And first real memory I had was of Herbo. We called him Herbert Edward, we called him Herbo. And he was trying to kill himself. Mom and Dad had went to Tennessee where we had bought a place at, and I couldn't understand why he was so scared and why he was so angry and distraught. Later did I find out that my dad was very abusive. He was abusive to me, he was abusive to my brothers and sisters, and let them hear it. I got the softer version of it because he really taken it out on them when they was older. When they found out that they was about to leave Harlan County, they figured all their protection was gone. And as Brian and her both told me later on, they was like, we figured he was going to get us away from there and kill us. It was that bad. So we moved to Paris, Tennessee, another big chicken farm. My little brother was about 18 months old, maybe a little younger than that. I have an older sister, and her name is Mandy. So my real journey begins in Paris. My invalid grandmother had moved in with us, and Dad was still kind of mad. He had just lost his adopted father, which he called his father, Orville, to a sudden heart attack in a house that he was building above our house there in Cold Iron. And Dad didn't take it well. A lot of depression, a lot of drugs, PTSD from the war. He was just going through it. And at that time I didn't understand because I was a kid. But he was really going through the same stuff that we're going through right now. So it was bad. One day he ran in there and he was beating on my grandmother. She was an invalid in her bed, and I got scared. And the first thing I heard was, "Go call the police." So I'm about 4 years old, and I shoot out the back door, and I'm going across the road, and I'm running as hard as I think I can. And I thought I was gaining ground, and all of a sudden I quit running. And I looked around, and this 6-foot man had me one-handed by my shoulder, cleaned off the ground, carrying me back to the house. First time I had a gun in my face. He put the .45 in my face that he carried so faithfully, and he told me, he said, "Son, what happens in this house stays in this house. And if you want to live, you'll keep it that way." From that day forward, I understood that what happened in our house stayed in our house. Through the beatings, through the drugs, through the numerous girlfriends that he had that sometimes my mom knew about and sometimes she didn't. He kept his mouth shut. So we leave Paris, Tennessee, and we moved to Arkansas. Well, in Arkansas, it got a lot better. We bought a place. It had a few trailers on it that we rented. We lived in the main house, and we had 6 or 7 trailers back there that we collected rent on. Man, everything was good. We was building new chicken pens. At this time, we had about 1,500 fighting roosters. Had about 1,000 of them on tie cords, and the rest of them in pens. Before we left Paris, we also got into the fighting dogs. So on top of the fighting roosters, now we've got about 125 fighting dogs on chains. My first look into real work. So as I'm taking care of or helping take care of about 1,500 game roosters, 150 pit bull dogs on chains, water, feed, we find out that we are in a land scheme that come to find out that my mother's father got us into. So the lady that owned the land came back finally from her world travel, as I understand it. I'm young at this time, so this is just conversation. You know how little kids get, we sneak and we listen to stuff, but this is what I gather. She comes back and she's like, "Well, can't do nothing to y'all," but she sued a whole bunch of other people. So all the investments that we had, all the money that we had gathered up, everything that we had at this point right here, we didn't have nothing. So we went from being okay to flat broke. We didn't have a place to live. We didn't have a place to go. We've got 1,500 game roosters, 150 pit bull dogs, 3 children, and we are relegated to eating popcorn and biscuits for probably 6 months. The dogs and the chickens ate the popcorn. We also made cornmeal mush for the dogs, so everybody got to eat. Because in my dad's house, nobody went hungry. Because if you went hungry, he just killed them all. We killed a lot of roosters and we killed a lot of dogs. And so we pull up everything and we moved to Tri-City, Bell City, same place. First glance that I got here at Graves County, we moved here. And things wasn't any better. Mom and Dad's fist fighting on a daily basis. Dad's got different girlfriends in Tennessee. Mom's working 2 and 3 jobs. We're still struggling pretty bad. A continuous fight, Rose. Just know this whole time we've not stopped fighting roosters, but we're starting to fight dogs now. We've got a few dogs that's been into Russia. We've had a few dogs that's been to Florida at this time. We've had a few dogs that's been in the Dominican Republic this time. We're in dog journals. If you can still look them up, Brown's Flash is still in there. Brown's Rusty is still in there. Brown's Little Boots is still in there. Kind of big time at this point, because anything that my dad put his hands on, he was prosperous at. Very prosperous. Not lucrative, but prosperous. He was well known about it. People knew his name. When he walked into a crowd, they knew his name. So we're struggling, fighting roosters. And Dad had been cultivating marijuana this whole time. And I'm about 6 years old at this time. He wakes me up at about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, get up, put on black, and come to the living room. Know what was going on. So we get in our 1989 Ford Econoline van. We drive down to the Tennessee line, and we get out of this van. And we hit this bean field. We walk through it. The first time I ever seen a marijuana plant. About 7 foot tall. This is about July, August. But we're going to fertilize. 7 foot tall, gorgeous. I mean, if you've never seen a pot plant grow, they really are pretty. As deadly as they are, they're gorgeous. And I was automatically hooked. So we spend from 2 o'clock in the morning till about 5:30 in the morning checking pot plants. We check about 150 of them. I'm carrying a backpack of fertilizer on it. Dad's carrying a few water jugs. We're hitting down on the creek, going back up at some dozer piles. We're doing this thing. I don't know. I was with my dad the first time I ever really connected with my dad like this. It was kind of, it was awesome. It was like the first hunting trip that you go with your dad, or the first fishing trip. Mine just happened to be checking pot plants. So man, I'm Daddy's boy now. We're really doing this big. And we harvested that year and had a pretty good harvest. And next year rolls around. And I don't ever remember being a child. Childhood isn't anything to me. I feel like I've been grown since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. So the next year rolls around and I look at Dad and I'm like, man, I think I can do this. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I think I could grow me a patch. I said, by myself. 7 years old. He's like, okay. So he gives me some seeds. He teaches me the ins and outs, how to hide it, how to not talk about it, how to keep the things that you're doing to yourself. First year I successfully grew 10 pounds of Skunk Kush Hybrid. He said some of the best body he'd ever smoked in his life. 7 years old. So now I'm in the dope game. So everything I grew, I got all the money for that. And 10% of what Dad grew, because I helped him check it and go with it, I got money for that. I'm also getting money for the chickens now because I'm helping feed and water and take care of and condition. So all this money's rolling in. Boy, what? The 7-year-olds got $3,000, $4,000 in their pocket rolling around the school. Book fair come, I got everybody. Come on, guys. I got everybody. I'm buying books. Then the school calls my dad. Mr. Brown, do you know that your son is at the book fair buying books for everybody? He just dropped a cool $500 at the book fair. Where is he getting this money from? So it got around that I stole the money from his wallet and had to get in trouble and everything like that. But that was the first real beating I remember getting. The first beating I threw up. The first time I felt like he had broke things inside of me. He kicked me, he stomped me, he beat me. He called me stupid, he called me worthless. A number of things. So at that point, it was hit home that I wasn't supposed to tell what went on in the house. So we lived in Kentucky until '94. We move out of Kentucky and we go to Mississippi at this time, I believe it is. So we're down in Mississippi. We're still fighting roosters. We're still growing pot. We've moved indoors now. We've got a hydroponic setup. So we're growing hydroponically now. First time I'm learning to make clones. I'm learning what nutrients are. I'm learning all this other good stuff. And at this point, I'm in the 6th grade. I'm about to start playing football the next year because in Mississippi you couldn't play football until you was in the 7th grade. And jokingly at career day one day, they was like, what do you think you're going to do with your life? And to myself, I thought, well, I'm going to fight chickens and grow wheat the rest of my life. What are you talking about? I want to be a firefighter. But that's what I thought I was going to do the rest of my life. I thought I was going to grow wheat and fight roasters and hang out with all these, I thought, really cool people. I'm getting to meet, I didn't even know what a Mexican cartel was back then, but I'm starting to meet people from different biker gangs, 1% biker gangs. They're coming. Dad's product was very sought after from a lot of different people. We never even had to worry about where it was going or who it was going to because there was a standing order for it every time. And if they wasn't there for the wheat, they was there for the roosters. My dad was a very prolific rooster fighter too. He could walk into any rooster pit in the United States, and I know you guys don't think there's a lot of them, but there's a bunch of them. And some of them are very prestigious, and some of the pots get very, very big. I've seen $1 million pots, $3 million pots. I've been to Arizona and Oklahoma and Louisiana and the Virgin Islands and Florida and Maine and quite a few places in the United States fighting roosters. And there was never a place when we walked in there that my dad wasn't a rock star, and I felt just like that, so I sucked into that, man. Everywhere I go, there's Herb and Little Herb. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. Got a little bit older, 12 or 13, I started handling roosters on my own. And now I've got grown men coming up to me and asking me questions about things that most of y'all don't even know about. Are my roosters too dry? Are my roosters too wet? What about my key? What about my feed? So I'm getting all these grown men asking me questions about things that I know about because it's been beat into me. It wasn't really learned, it was smacked into me and stomped into me and beat into me. Pretty tough. So, this whole time, I'm in and out of church. Vacation Bible schools. Church every now and again, small churches that we was going to. But the first time I really remember God, that's why you got this stuff down, you keep talking. It was in Bell City the year before we left there. It's the first time I think I remember meth. My dad had been up for several days, and a shelf fell down and hit him in the head, and he thought my mom did it on purpose. So he took us hostage. It was the day after 4th grade had ended. The whole summer, we sat in a house. The house is still there in Bell City, right there on the Tennessee line. And he talked about killing my mom, killing me, my brother, and my sister, and killing himself. For several months. This is all we heard about. And I remember sitting there on a bed, me and my brother and sister had probably been 10 or 15 days before we'd ate anything. We would sneak back and forth when they would take power naps, because every now and again they would just fall out from exhaustion, and we would go get something to drink. My little brother scared, me scared, my sister, the first time I ever really seen her scared. And But we were sitting on that bed, and I kept praying and praying and praying. And one day, I heard Dad get up, and he said, "This is it. This is the day." My mom's in there begging and pleading. He said, "We're about to do it." He said, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to go kill the kids, and I'm going to blow my own brains out. We're all going to go to heaven. We're going to let God sort this out." So I'm still praying. I'm praying so hard. Please, God, don't let this be the end. Please, God, don't let this be the end. And I heard the trigger on the pistol click back. I just closed my eyes really hard. I started crying really hard. I was waiting for the pop. Instead of a pop, I heard a knock on the door. Now, we've been in this house for about 2.5 months. There has been nobody shows up at this door. Absolutely nobody. A gentleman by the name of Harvey French comes strolling through the door. And it went from, "We're about to die," to my dad being happy and everything being just fine. Vacation Bible School was going on, so we got to go out to Vacation Bible School that day. That night we went to Vacation Bible School. The same night I got saved. Because I knew right then God had showed up and had saved all of our lives with a gentleman. First time I got baptized, first time I got saved, and it was great. From then on, I knew God was real, but I doubted Him. Because we continued to go through this cycle of beatings and moving and beatings and moving and moving and beatings and beatings and moving and drugs and drugs and drugs and drugs and drugs. And I was never so happy in the year of 2000 when my dad got popped for manufacturing methamphetamines and went to jail. Was the biggest meth bust that they had seen at that point in time in Golo, Kentucky. It took an extra large U-Haul van to carry away all of the base jars, paraphernalia, drugs, guns, and everything else that they could find. My mom had just left him prior to that, not very long before that, and he told me that if I stepped foot on his property, he'd blow my brains out. And, I really thought that was what was going on. At this point, my mom had moved in with her boyfriend, and she told me that her boyfriend didn't want kids, and she thought that wasn't too bad of an idea. She was done with this. I was 14 years old. I had a 9-year-old brother. So what's a 14-year-old boy supposed to do when you can't get a job but you got bills, and a 9-year-old looking at you going, "Bubba, what are we going to do?" I said, "I got a plan." My sister's married to one of the enforcers of the BDG in Mayfield. And I go to him and I said, "Hey, bro, I need to get home." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I need to make money, and I don't have any way to do it." I know a little bit about the game. What my dad had taught me and stuff like that. I was like, I can keep my mouth shut. I'm good with my money. And I said, I move around heinously. First time I ever seen a package. I said, "I got a package for you." I said, "A package?" I said, "I'm not a mail delivery. I want to deal drugs." It's like, "No." I said, "Let me talk to you real quick." My first package was a pound of pot, an ounce of cocaine, and a bunch of different pills. They called it a Skittles pack then. So it was just a whole bunch of different pills. He didn't have to tell me anything about the pot. I told him everything there was to know about the pot, how bad it was, and everything like that. But he showed me how to cook up crack. He showed me how to break down cocaine. And he told me what all them pills was and what they was worth. So bam, I hit the street. Ridgeway and 16th Street, I'm chilling there. Got me a little pad right from my house. Got all my stuff hid. Cops rolling by, having to deal with all this hassle. Having to deal once again with a bunch of grown men. I'm a 14-year-old kid. I am literally a guppy in a fish tank. I'm so scared. I get so scared that I have to run to the house and throw up and get back on my block. Just terrified. But I knew from my raising I couldn't show any of that. I had to be mean. I had to be vile. I had to be cutthroat. And if any of y'all know me, I'm not made that way. I'm a gentle soul. I'm a teddy bear. Boy, I am looking on the inside. I guarantee you. I will give you the last dollar I have in my pocket, the shirt off my back, the shoes off my feet, and if I got a vehicle, I'll give that to you or drive you anywhere you want to. But you can't be like that in the dope game. Gotta be ruthless. Gotta be heartless. So now, I'm kicking in doors. I'm recovering money for the BDGs. I'm recovering things for the BDGs. I'm fighting. I'm toting pistols. I'm doing the most. Had a $1,000 a day crack habit, dropped it so I could have a meth habit. Went back to cooking again. So 14, probably 15 at this time, 14 and a half, 15, I've got grown men bringing me pills because my dad showed me how to cook meth. So I'm in some woods behind my house on Ridgeway and 16th Street, and I'm cooking meth for people. Woo! I'm big dog again. People know my name. They know who I am. Pyro is where I went by. Hey, everybody knows a little bit about Pyro. If you need something, if you want something, hey, go holler at Pyro. He's on Ridgeway and 16th. Be careful. He's a shark. I'm not a shark. But yes, I'm a shark. So, about this time, I meet this 5'6" blonde-haired church girl. In choir class at school, because I didn't have anybody to hold me accountable at school, so I got pushed into a choir class. So I met Dana, my ex-wife, and her family, Christian people. Her dad was an elected official in Mayfield, and I fell in with these people. She pulled the dope out of me. She got me sober-ish. I quit doing meth, I quit doing cocaine, I quit doing pills. I was smoking a lot of marijuana still. But I had got better. I got clean. You know, I was only just smoking a quarter pound of pot every week. But I was clean, boy. I was as clean as I've ever been since I was 7 years old. So fast forward, we go through high school together. We stay together all the time. 2013, I had my first little girl, Brianna, and that stopped me-ish. I moved the operation out of my house. I didn't deal dope out of my house no more. Didn't deal weed out of my house no more. But I was still dealing and still rolling around the dope game, still knew some big players. And 2015, my youngest girl, Bethany, was born. I was done. I gave it all up. I cut ties with everybody that I knew. We moved to Chris Drive in Mayfield. I didn't know how much activity there was out there, and there was a lot. So between jobs or between times of going out of town and coming back in, I would move a little bit, a little pound here, a little ounce there, you know, just straight money, nothing big. I fall back into the rooster fighting, and in 2015 we get busted out on Protemus Road, opening up an old rooster pit that I used to run back in 90, 93, 94 with my father, and we get busted for fighting roosters. And the state trooper that I was talking to, which let me go, he calls me up and he's like, "Harold, you gotta go turn yourself in tomorrow." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You have a felony warrant in Marshall County, and you need to go turn yourself in." Well, I worked for a little florist shop and I had stole some TVs from Walmart. I thought to, no avail. I quit doing it, but they caught me on video. They already had a warrant for me. They thought I was over in Murray, but I was actually somewhere else, and it all caught up to me. And that's when I found Riverwoods. I had just spent about 14, 15, 16 days in jail. I hated it. I was away from my wife. I was away from my kids. And they was like, "If you'll attend this Riverwoods program, you can get out of jail." And I said, "Sign me up. Let's go." Run into it. So I'm in Riverwoods, and I'm back around godly people. Meet Randy. Meet Jay Manley. God rest your soul. I meet Paul Durling. God rest his soul. And I meet all these great people at this great program. And I finally get clean and sober for the first time in my life. Actually clean and sober for the first time in my life. For about 11 months. The day I graduated Riverwoods. I went right back to smoking pot again. Turned away from all the friends and the family and the good people that I had met and got right back out on the street. But before I left Riverwoods, I was told I had a calling on me. And I was told I laughed. I did. So I'm sitting in this and I'm like, if I've got a calling on me and y'all, then let me know it. I wish God would come down here right now and tell me what my calling is. Randy and Brother Darren, Brother Darren, they're sitting in there and they both chuckled at me and they said, boy, you called to preach, it's all over you. I was like, God, this cult's time to quit. I got to get out of here. And I guess I called him a cult. I called him a cult.
Sure did.
To their face. I got to get out of this cult. So I leave. But there's this good man who never quits checking on me. Never quits calling me. Even when I don't show up at his wedding, to DJ for his wedding. I don't show up for a lot of stuff. Because I'm getting high. But he comes to my house when there's a storm on just to check on me. House smells like pot. Guts and blunts everywhere. Kids running around. Me apologizing. He said, I'm not here. He said, I'm just here to check on you. He said, I don't care what your house looks like. I'm just here to see if you're okay, brother. And Randy McDaniel, I want you to tell you, I appreciate that, brother. Alicia McDaniel, I appreciate that.
We love you.
The bottom of my heart. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be standing up here right now. Yeah. Between them and God, it's pulled me out of the streets. And that's tough. I like the streets, boy. I like to be notarized. I like to be standing up and be number one. That's my favorite thing. Let me be El Chavo. But that's not what God had for me. So he calls me back again, and they started Riverwoods Murray, and I get plugged in there again. And I get boosted up, got 9 months under my belt. My wife and kids has left me at this time. I'm as low as I can be. I run again. Again, I run off. Again, I get back in the streets. Again, I start getting high. But it's these texts about every 2 weeks that I get. Hey, you gonna make some pizzas? I make a darn good pizza. You gonna come see me? Randy, I'm not in a position to come see you. It's like, I don't care what you look like or where you at. Are you gonna come see me? I'm just my friend. My friend. Have you heard anybody say that? I want dope or money or a ride. And he said, God, what is this about? And he was quiet. I said, God, what is this about? And he was quiet. I said, God, what is this about? Randy texted me. He said, hey, Alicia's birthday is coming up. I'd really like you to be there. I said, amen. So I show up about a day sober. And I meet these other amazing people. Our kids and their kids. And all these people treat me like family. They don't ask me where I'm from or what I've done. They don't judge me for anything. They're just there. Little did I know this was going to be the family that was going to raise me up, take me in, Give me a place to sleep when I didn't have no place. Be there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when I was crying about my ex-wife leaving me and my kids not loving me anymore. Give me sober. Give me purpose. Come back to the church that I ran from so many times with the same open arms, the same love, the same reverence that I had every time I left. I kept coming back to the same stuff. And God kept telling me, now, son, this is what it's about.
Amen.
Sober people that love you. People that depend on you. People that don't want anything from you but to see your smiling face doing the best that you can. That's all He wants from all of us. Just our smiling face doing the absolute best we can. Now, when I wrote my testimony, there wasn't any Bible verses that you had to put in it, and I don't have any prepared. But I want you to know that any sin that you have, He's going to clean as white as snow. Every time you don't think He's there, make a 180 and look over your shoulder because He's standing there. And if you look in that sand that you've been walking through life, there's probably only one set of footprints and it's not yours. When my wife and kids left me, I said, God, what have I done? He said, you didn't do nothing. The world did this. But through everybody that's left you, through the dope gang, your family, your friends, He's always been there. And I had to make the tough decision and give the tough answer. It was God. He never left. I ran from Him time and time again, but He never left. And He sent great people to rescue me and to save me, to raise me up, and to bring me back right here to see all these lovely faces as we praise and worship together. We hug each other's necks. We don't want to show up, but we continue to. Because there's love here. And there's family here. I love each and every one of y'all, and I say that from the bottom of my heart, and I couldn't do it without any of y'all. If you ever need a number, you ever need a friend, you call me, because I called friends when I needed them. And God sent me to Bible college in 21 days. He sent me all these people in this great church here, so you guys keep spreading this good news about our God, how big He is and how great He is. And how if you'll just turn your life over, He'll save you. I love each and every one of y'all. Love you. Thank you.